Hello, this is Aaron Gorka and Brent Burrows, co-hosts of Next Generation Innovation, part of the Control Trends Podcasting Network. Today is January 30th. We are a few days before the biggest event in the world. What is that, Brent?
Well, Aaron, you're talking about it's a Sunday coming at the end of January, beginning of February. The world will be watching the 2020 Control Trends Awards.
The world will be watching because this year we brought somebody in from a manufacturer from Poland who will be there. You see them on LinkedIn. They're bragging, GC5 bragging all over their LinkedIn that the Polish company's nominated for what would be an un-American, but let's call it North American award.
Speaking of un-American, Aaron Gorka, you'll be there. This is an international event. The biggest stars from across the industry, they'll be there. So I'm very excited to be there. Aaron, I'm sure you're very excited. And Sunday can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, I think Eric and Kenny got us some plans. We can't tell everybody here, but anybody that will be attending the show, get ready for some fun this year around, the Super Bowl, which is also going on. And Brent and I will be having quite an interesting role in the show this year. We're looking forward to it.
We are. You could say that we'll be in charge of crowd management. Just a little teaser there. You guys can figure it out. You'll know when you see it.
We're like the bouncers.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're pretty good bouncers in the industry overall, to be honest with you.
I don't know. You get old, you get up to 30, and you know what? That's good. I did that in my younger days, but not interested. Trying to get anybody out the club.
Yeah, no, not in this event, but we'll see what happens. It brings us nicely into kind of the topic of our that we're going to be covering today is the young gun class of 2019.
Yep, got a whole new class of young guns. So we're going to intro them, kind of just give a brief description about them, what they do. Then we dive into some certification, certified energy manager, and then we wrap up the show with a little segment, who's hot, who's not. It's more of a who's not. We focused, I guess, on the downside of everything because that seems to be prevalent in the news cycle. But that's it.
Well, when we got something so positive and so exciting like the control trends, you got to take a little bit of knot,
Exactly. Got to bring everyone down a peg. So, but that's it. That is going to be the show, and hope you guys enjoy.
Enjoy the show. All right, hello everybody. It's Jan 30th. We're hopping right into this, and we're gonna do our intro conclusion afterwards. This Sunday we got a big day. Everybody knows about it, right? You know about it, Brent. I know about it.
That's right.
Control Trends Awards.
It is the biggest Sunday of the year. All year has been leading up to this event. The big show, Sunday. Or is it 4:30, 5:30? I'm not even sure. Just make sure you're there. Orlando, Florida, Control Trends Awards.
Here we go. Boom, 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 boom.
You got to do the Sunday night football thing. Dun, 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 ba-na, ba-na.
Yeah, you got it.
One of those intros.
I'm on the hockey side.
Yeah, I don't even know. What do you guys have up there? Do you guys ever win the Stanley Cup anymore? Or is that just like, everybody wins it? I think Chicago wins one, so maybe you try and claim those.
We try to get it. I don't think we've won a cup in many years, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Since they traded away the king, Wayne Gretzky, you guys have been cursed.
Yeah, it's probably a bad move. It's pretty tough to compete with walk into the rink in flip-flops every day compared to, freezing weather every day. So I think that's a part of it too. Best players want to chill in the heat.
Well, I think that's one of the things you guys could get a strategic advantage over certain teams. Like I see, for instance, one of the places we're going to be in Orlando, Florida. Apparently the Tampa Bay Lightning are really good at hockey, which doesn't make sense because they're in Florida. If they had come out and play in the elements, like in Canada, that could give you guys a home field advantage. So that's tough.
Yeah, all the best players are all Canadian anyway.
Hey, you know what? Good for them. Good for them. All right.
Well, let's get into some other players here, I think, right? And all Americans, I think. I think what we want to do here is introduce the young gun class of, 2020, or is this going to be 2019?
It's going to be for the year 2019, but it's taking place in 2020.
Okay, there we go. And we got 5 people. We have 1 mystery person. Do we want to list everybody's name and then dive deep, or do we want to dive deep on each person at a time?
I think we're just going to do going to do some brief intros, and hopefully later on we'll catch up with these people at the Control Trends Awards, do some more in-depth interviews, kind of how they got into the industry, and where exactly they're looking to go. But if we just start down, we have got first one on the list here. I've got is Riley Castile from Jackson Controls out of Indianapolis, and he is a building automation engineer. Look like he's been in the field for about 8 months and some change. So working more on the technical side, probably the integration side, but excited to catch up with Riley. And then spinning right off that, we have a Riley Norman. So obviously we can see there, Riley is a man, Riley is a woman. The name goes both ways. Riley Norman, she works for Honeywell. She's out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Actually at the University of Minnesota right now, working on a marketing and business degree. So go Golden Gophers. They had a really good season this year. PJ Flex there, row the boat. So do your thing. But I know she's been doing some work. I saw on her profile that she was in the project management for Honeywell Momentum, which was an awesome event. I know we were both there. So that was great. Honeywell puts on a great show down there. Really enjoyed ourselves. That one was actually in Orlando too. Then
Yeah,
we
I worked with that. That was where I met Riley. Was when she was organizing that. When I did the Future Proof Your Business speaker presentation, and she was exceptional. She kept it all together. And I mean, a year and 11 months at Honeywell is, especially for an intern, that's a long time. I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say about why she's sticking around, not just Honeywell, but HVAC and control as a whole.
right. Uh, let's see who else we got here. I think I'm looking for who is our mystery person.
Brooke Penny from Nitro Mechanical in West Virginia.
In West Virginia. Okay, so Brooke Penny could not find any trace of him or her online. But not only is Brooke Penny in the receiving a Young Gun Award, but also the coolest company name, Nitro Mechanical, is much better than anything else.
Nitro Mechanical.
So congratulations to Brooke Penny. Then we got Seth Wald, territory sales manager from Siemens up in Detroit. Look like got a little bit of I noticed a trend there. We're up in a lot of Big Ten country. So we've got Minnesota. We got Seth Wald from Michigan State, the Spartans. And then we had Riley Castillo, look like he's over there in Indiana. So something going on up there. Some people from the South, Midwest, West need to step your game up and nominate some people for these Young Gun Awards. But
well, and just for the record here, the other Young Gun cruiser, you're in Atlanta, Stromquist is Atlanta, Smyers is in Philly. I'm from Toronto, so I mean, none of these people are from our areas either. So it's the community who's nominating them, right?
That's true. Where I went to school, they had this shirt said for the football team, still undefeated, meaning we just didn't have one. So. But a little small town, and then all the small schools in Georgia started taking that, and they ruined the joke. All right, and then last but not least, we have got James Dice out of Denver, Colorado. Man, I went through, looked at this guy on LinkedIn. I'd seen some posts that he was doing. This guy's rap sheet, his certifications and everything. I was like, man, that's everything I should try to do.
Oh yeah, it was incredible, and he came highly recommended from Ken Sinclair. I know that's who he's writing a lot of his reports with, and Ken Sinclair made sure that he was in this mix, and we got a good age kind of discrepancy too between the Rileys who are very young, like right early 20s. Seth Wald was he looks like he's about our age, just before 30. Or around that, and James I think might be a little bit older than you and I, but yeah, it's incredible what he's done in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, obviously we get these names in, so then we have to go in and we kind of LinkedIn check everyone out, so they'll see that these random people are checking out their profile. Great thing for this new Young Gun class is much better looking than the last Young Gun class. I know
Yeah, there you
I
go.
was in there, so they're trying to step the profile up. It's kind of like now, gosh, one of my wife's favorite shows, which I hate to even bring it up, but she was watching it last night. The Bachelor. I don't know if your wife makes you watch that or whatever.
I try
But
to take control of that clicker, man. I do not like to give that up. I'll tell you what.
uh, but I'll be honest, you go on there and it is all like just these like 22 to I don't know 30-year-old like professional models that show up on this show, and I'm like, what is this anymore? Like there's like we pick normal everyday working people. I'm like, that's such a lie. That
Oh
is
yeah,
such a
no way.
lie.
It's all
And
the Instagram follows. So which one's the Bachelor? Is that the one where there's a guy and then all the girls, or the girl and all the guys?
the Bachelor is when it's the guy and all the girls, and then Bachelorette's when
Okay.
it's girl and all the guys. But yeah, it just turns into smut TV, and
Oh
so
yeah.
but that's my wife's favorite. So anyway, we got a little distracted there. Going back to kind of James Dice and running back down kind of all the things that he had on his accomplishments, things that he had done there was something we were kind of keyed into, something you experienced with, and that was the Certified Energy Manager program. So you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was something my dad and I, in our core business, our control company, we do a lot of tenant billing and energy reading and whatnot. And through Ontario and Canada, some regulations were coming through that probably was very important that we at least attempt this program. So we enrolled. It's a week-long endeavor. It covers all the animals of a building across 4 days or so. It's very, very challenging. Like it's a week where you're studying all night, every night, because the exam in the end is, I believe, it's a 4-hour exam. So that's depending on young people who've been through the university kind of method, would probably be used to the sitting down and writing a 4-hour exam. But like my dad had never, he'd never written a 4-hour exam. So you really do got to prepare for it overall.
Right. Yeah, that's actually kind of coming into the new year. We're around the time of the New Year's resolutions, and that's on my list for the year. I'm going to get that certification, well, hopefully, passing that test, doing all that stuff here in July of this year. So I'm looking forward to that. I know I've done a few of them before, not anything more on like the energy side, but I've done the low voltage, unrestricted mechanical for state of Georgia. And sometimes for me, especially mechanical, um, for the mechanical certification or, license, the toughest part for me was actually the application and getting everything set up. I think the application for the state of Georgia license was something like a 17-page application with just different
Oh,
certifications you had, licenses, references, all this stuff. And to be honest,
it's big.
I took a prep class for it, and the first part, pretty much 4 hours of the prep class, was putting your application together, which I was like, wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the application process isn't so bad. This is a program through the Association of Energy Engineers that even if you don't have all the experience yet, you can become an energy manager in training, right? So doing this test as a young person is worth it because then you graduate into, the CEM, the Certified Energy Manager. The application process is a lot about, like, say, like for my dad, who's on the owner side, who's a mechanic without the university education, he had to get references from 4 or 5 clients that would be, yes, he has been doing energy things with us for X amount of years, versus, say the university or the at least the engineering side of the degree. I think it's if you once you have your degree, you need 5 years energy experience.
Right.
Whereas
Well,
for me, at a business, I needed 5 or I might have needed 10 years experience in the energy that should be like to earn the energy manager. I don't have it right in front of me, but
right. Yeah, I think it was if you have pretty much it was looking for like a bachelor's or equivalent degree in something like management, business, and then 5 years of industry experience. And then if you had an actual engineering degree, like some of the people coming into the young gun class, then it might have been like 2 years, something there. pretty much
Yeah.
the closer you got to mechanical engineering and everything like that, the shorter your relevant experience had to be, because they pretty much said you went to school for this, so you should be a pretty quick study.
Well, that leads nicely into one of the funny things we found, at least in our class and that we were at. Some of the energy recommendations that you can make, if you don't really understand the complexity of that decision, right? Like, and the interconnectivity perhaps of the building that you're working in, you can destroy a building like really fast.
Right.
So me and my dad were, by about day 2, we were looking around the room, and after some discussion and some dive in, collaboration, it was really fun. But we kind of realized this is arguably the most dangerous room in the industry, because no, seriously. And because they're teaching you excellent energy savings, methods. But if you don't have, honestly, like that 5-10 years experience, almost regardless of the engineering degree, you can wreck a building.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And there are times during my career I felt like the most dangerous one in the room. Show up to a meeting, show up to a building, and you're just like, everybody's looking at you like you got all the answers, and I'm like, all right, we will see.
So I was at a conference in my hometown last weekend or 2 weekends ago, say, and it was really focused on emotional intelligence and the things around all of that: leadership, communication, dealing with difficult people. The one I'm going towards there's a thing called imposter syndrome, where and there's probably a quiz you can take to see if you kind of have imposter syndrome, but in a nutshell, it's when you feel, even though you're successful and you do know things, but you feel like a fake or a phony in front of people, right? You can't give yourself the credit perhaps that you do know kind of what you're saying. And in that first conference or in that seminar, they had you write, like, when is a moment you would feel perhaps like an imposter? And that was, I think. It's like, well, you know what? If I'm in the right spot, I don't mind being out of my comfort zone, right? So I don't feel like an imposter most times, except when it's the highest, newest technology and really nobody knows what it's going to do, truthfully, or what to do after the fact. And they're all looking at you.
Right.
Oh, shit, I am the imposter here.
I'm not going to lie. It's a bunch of times when you go to events like this, when you go to Control Trends, when you go to ControlCon, Niagara Summit, and you hear these keynote speakers get up there, like, you've got the Scott Cochrans or the Ken Sinclairs, and they're talking about things, and you get kind of ground into like the day-to-day, the minutia of what you're doing, and then you hear them go and talk about things at like whatever, a 30,000-50,000 foot view, and you're just like, oh man, I don't even know if am I even playing in the right stadium? Like,
yeah, it's exactly
maybe I should be in the next room.
But I would bet you, if we talk to those experts on it, maybe this is something we can continue forward about. Again, the imposter syndrome isn't. I don't love that term. It's a little bit aggressive. Nobody wants to feel like an imposter. But again, through that room when we were in there, people were saying, yeah, no, I don't feel like I'm good enough to be anywhere, kind of thing. It's like, oh shit, well, you need to switch your mindset, right? Because that's a tough place to live. But
what was the?
I would bet those guys struggle with it too sometimes.
Gosh, what was the one? It was at ControlsCon. I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was one of the big guys from Realcomm, IBCOM, and he was the last guy to speak at ControlsCon. And it was basically, I want to say, it was really focused around like on artificial intelligence, and he brought up everything. Like he did the example video of what was going on in China and all the facial recognition software, and how they were able to find someone within, I think, 7 minutes of dropping them off in the middle of China. And I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah. So, and the other thing they had talked about there on it is the like instead of card access, like facial recognition access. Right now, now from there you can head into the debate whether you want to do it or not. Honestly, it scared the crap out of me. I don't know. It was tough. Like, do I want to be the guy installing these systems that are going to just like eliminate privacy in the future, right? So in 20 years, your wallet might be fat, but is it worth that? I don't know. That was
I'll
a
answer.
tough ethical
I'll
debate for
answer
me.
that for you, Aaron. If you can be the person in that space and be getting paid to do it, yes, it's fine. Because
Do it.
if you say you're not going to do it and somebody will pay me to do it, I'll do it. Like no
Somebody's gonna do it. Yeah.
no problem with that. It's funny you say the thing, and we kind of circle back to that. I was actually listening to the news this morning, and they were talking about that at Hartsfield Jackson here in Atlanta. They're actually
Yeah.
using for international flights. They're using facial recognition software versus your passport. So they're
Oh,
actually running people through those checks. So you're not presenting passports anymore. If you're using stuff like mobile passport or different apps like that, and they say pretty much, it runs the facial recognition, and within 2 seconds, it's got your information and everything like that. So
that's pretty
it is
convenient. My
interesting.
passport's pretty beat up. I got put it through the wash not too long ago. So
I'll tell you what. I hope you make it down to Orlando. Then who knows? They might
oh
think.
yeah, I just had that flash. I'm like, shit, I might not be able to cross the border.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. That's not really Aaron.
No, I'm just showing up, being like, come on, hopefully, please let me through, right?
Well, that's
Oh, well.
it. So we kind of spun off there. Take us through a little bit that certified energy manager, and this will even be helpful for me. Kind of the application process, the class process, kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, I have a sheet somewhere. I'm looking for like a breakout of all that stuff. Like I have my notepad from it all. I just can't find it at the moment. I thought it was somewhere more obvious.
What do they say? The 7 Ps. Prior proper
Yeah.
planning prevents piss poor performance. I think that's 7, but
No, I would. Yeah, no kidding. No, I would honestly say if I was gonna go through that, like the way I did it, because I'm not very good at the math side of the things, like at all. I don't like to calculate hand math. I don't like writing formulas. Frankly, I write down the formula with my hands. Like this isn't words. This is weird. So I don't like to do that. So I had to kind of go after this CM, that exam that you have to get. I think an 80% or there's a certain mark that you need to get, certain amount of grades. The test is each question's worth eight marks. I don't know why they do things like that. It's just make it one. It's all the same. Multiple choice, Scantron, and I would say the best piece of advice is to pick your battles. Go into that exam with a strategy. Have good, because it is open book. Have the points that you know that you need to get to and be able to navigate, that very intense 4-hour exam as efficient as you can. I'll tell you what, that the day of the exam, I was looking around the room, and I always go to an exam very, very calm, like super calm. Like I do not read almost anything the day of, to be honest. I just go in relaxed. It's all about, sitting down and being calm.
okay.
And everybody else in the room, I'm looking around, they're flipping through back and forth, cramming their brain before a 4-hour exam. Like, honestly, it was a beautiful day. It was sunny. It was hot. I went outside. I laid down. I laid down on the grass and just breathed and chilled. Went in and did my best. I passed by 1 mark. Right? I got 1 mark right. So going in with a strategy, pick your strengths. It's all around anything in a building, the insulation, like the lighting, the outside, the inside, the HVAC, different animals of the HVAC, building automation, preventive maintenance is in there. So pick your strengths and answer those first.
Right. Now, what did it have in
That's the
terms
best
of
advice for it.
I guess how many different books or sources was it going through when it was open book?
So they give you a big. Here, I do know where that is. They give you a big fat book,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll get it in front of it.
Okay.
Like this, like a big guy. You can see I did not open this book, but then they give you like a work guide with all the slides, and you can kind of take notes as you go through it. Yeah, so you can get yourself a nice little binder. They give you that, and it's got all the slides, and you can tab it up and stuff. And that's the way to go through it from an open book, and then summarize it onto it. I would call them cheat sheets.
Okay. All right. I gotcha. Because yeah, that was one of my things when I took the when I took my certification exams, like I think the HVAC one, I want to say between the notebooks that I had and the textbooks, like it was 10. There were 10 of them. There were 10 of them.
Oh
So
wow.
there were 10 of them, and basically, I can't remember if it was 50 questions because the HVAC license is pretty much an 8-hour exam, and it's two 4-hour
Wow.
segments. So the first thing that I would do, it may be 100 questions for each. This was a while back, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago. But pretty much what I did is I went through it. It was a proctored exam that you took on a computer at a testing center. So I would go through there.
Okay, sure.
I would go through and look at the question, and it would be like, how big does your flue vent need to be to vent the gases of something that is, you know, combusting this much air or this much BTUs, what's the size? And so I would go through and I basically had kind of this grid that I created and
Nice.
mark that and be like, gas vent piping size, question one. And I would have it all broken down into like service questions, HVAC,
There you
business
go.
questions, things like that, and go ahead and mark them all through. And then once that was done, then come back to it and then just start breaking it down by sections, answer all the ones that I could find real quick. If I couldn't find
Yep.
it in, less than 2-3 minutes, move on to the next one. And then basically this process of eventually just shortening the test until it
Yep.
got to something that was manageable. And at that point, it was just, if I didn't
Then
know
you
at the
start
end,
thinking hard.
yeah, and it didn't get any, eh, I mean, there were no marks off for getting wrong answers. So eventually, if you didn't know it, just guess C. Because I think I remember in school it was like statistically in multiple choice,
See,
C has a higher probability. So just guess C.
honestly, when I get to the point in a test that I have no idea, and it happens on every test I do, right? And I look at it, and by the end, I've filled out the Scantron, kind of the way you're saying, and I'm down to a few of them, and I don't even look. I hardly look at the question. I just look at the rhythm of the dots that I filled out, and it's like, haven't been a B in a while. Boom.
It's kind of like
And
playing
honest to God,
kind of like playing roulette.
I
It's been
passed
like
it by one right answer, so it must have worked.
it's kind of like roulette. You're just like, man, it's been read 6 times in a row. No way it can come up again.
Yeah.
That's funny. It kind of makes me think back to being in school, and it would be more math related because when you got multiple choice conceptual questions on Scantron, I mean
Yeah.
they were what they were. But I remember in math, sometimes if you were unsure about what you were doing, you kind of peek over at somebody else's answer, and then just to see if you're on like the right page. And it's like, let's say the answer that you came up with here is like, okay, it's 4. And you look over there and they've got like 32 marked, and you're like, oh,
Uh-oh.
oh man, one of us has no idea what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh man, I'll tell you what. That's why I didn't like practicing math. If they taught it on Excel, I'd be cool with it. But every time I would run the formula out, I'd be wrong. And then I go through it again, I'm still wrong. I go through it again, I'm still wrong. It's like, all right, you know what? I don't know where I'm going wrong on this. I give up.
Gosh, man. Yeah, that makes me think when I was in high school, I had this one like free period where it's like, all right, I can't remember what one of the options was, but then it was sometimes you would have to go like help younger kids out with math,
Sure.
like third graders and people like that. And they sent me down, and God bless this kid, but we went down and he got like a 50 on his math test. And so I went down and I was like, all right, we're going to go through this and figure out the process. And it's simple. And just tell me why you come to the decisions or conclusions that you come to, and then we'll figure out where you're going wrong. So I'm like, all right, show your work. We did like a little practice, like five questions. He marked his answers, and I'm sitting there, and he got 1 out of 5. So
Oh
we're going through
no.
the wrong ones, and I'm like, okay, how did you arrive at this? What was your thought process in this? And he's looking at me. He's just like, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm 18 years old at one point. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, what do I do with this now? The kid
So,
doesn't get it, right?
so that's you. That's Aaron. You're that
Oh
kid
yeah,
all grown up. So
oh yeah, absolutely. I made it. It's okay, you know.
yeah, we'll
I
be
tell
all
you right.
right.
I tell you what. I write a killer essay and a killer proposal. That's more my
Okay.
skill set, right? You know.
Oh gosh, yeah,
So
that's not one of my things. English and grammar. There's sometimes I look at something that I've written and I'm like, I feel like there should be more commas in here. Maybe just look for some things.
that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah.
But, however, and comma, close.
Yeah. That's hilarious. It's true. Well, hey, not everybody's good at everything. You know what we should do with these young guns too? Maybe we should do a little bit of a poll with them when they're all excited and hopped up. We can kind of be like, so numbers are people, right? Numbers are words, and see kind of get a gist of what our industry is more built of.
I'll tell you what would be even better. Do some type of young gun or Aaron Gorka aptitude test. And just do something like that. Just be like, okay, what one of these settings is best? And it's got like a hockey
There you
rink, and
go.
it's got out in the wilderness, and then something else. And it would be completely subjective based on what you enjoy, and then you'll just figure out who most closely matches up with you, and they'll win.
There you go. Maybe that's the way to do it. Sure, we'll test them.
That works. It'll be
You
more
know
like an
that what you
what?
I don't know. You'd probably guess the Paul Bunyan thing where I'm wandering through the woods barefoot, right? Like
Yeah,
Sasquatch.
exactly. What's Aaron's favorite movie? I don't know. Probably The Hobbit, the one where they walk around with no shoes on. So, something like that.
They are good movies, sure. Yeah, I get it. Right?
That's
That's
it.
funny.
So, all right, man. Well, we've hit that. So we've talked about the young guns. Once again, congratulations to them. You hear this
Let's
or see?
name them: Riley Castile, Jackson Control Company, Brooke
Hmm.
Penny, Nitro Mechanical, Seth Wald from Siemens, James Dice. I got Engineer and Entrepreneur, Riley
Right.
Norman, Honeywell.
That's it. So congratulations to the new class. Looking forward to meeting up with some of you down in Orlando. And looking out, any of you guys trying to get that certified manager application, get that certification in, contact Aaron. He knows what he's doing. So that kind of that wraps up that. Really looking forward to control trends. Now we're going to launch into a little bit of a just a different segment. It's not controls related, not industry related, kind of a who's hot, who's not segment, just general pop culture, business, whatever. Just kind of news headlines that have come across. You want to start off, Aaron?
I think we unfortunately got to go low, and the first thing that kind of hits me is the Kobe. You know, God love that man for putting on some basketball and making it all about. Every time you're playing beer pong, you're yelling Kobe, right? So God rest his soul, I suppose.
I gotcha. So I'm gonna go. So who's hot, who's not, Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut.
Pizza.
I actually saw something that came across on the news. Pizza Hut closed like 500 locations in 2019. So that was it's about a 6-7% closure in all their stores, which you know kids that grew up in the 90s, Pizza Hut used to be the spot. Even way back then into like the 80s and the
Yep.
70s, people used to like go on dates to the Pizza Hut, which is
Yeah.
kind of it's a crazy concept to think about now, but they're closing up, so they're not doing so good right now. And hopefully that. And the thing with Pizza Hut is, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about competitive markets, which obviously food, retail, everything like that is ultra competitive.
Yeah.
Uh, you've seen so many people or so many companies rise up in the last few years. And one thing that I thought had to cut into the margins for companies like uh, companies or restaurants like pizza and Chinese food has been the come up of these mobile delivery services, the Uber Eats, the DoorDashes, and everything that are
Yep.
now
You're
bringing
right.
every type of food that you could have, you can now get delivered to your door. Where back, I mean, even 10 years ago, it felt like the only people that you could count on for delivery were pizza and Chinese food. Those were pretty much my
It's
only two.
true.
If you didn't want to leave your house, those were the only two things you could order. So.
Yeah. No, you're right. Pretty much. Anyway. You know what? There might be some. I would wonder too if any of the pizza stores, because there seems like there's been more pizza stores open too. But again, people aren't going out either. Pizza Hut had that location with like the bar or the buffet and the salad and the, I guess,
Yep.
wicked pizza. But yeah, could be a health thing too. Pizza Hut's fairly greasy pizza.
I don't know. If you looked at my eating habits, there's the decline in Pizza Hut has nothing to do with health issues. It's just I choose to buy my pizza
There you go.
elsewhere.
True. What else would be out there right now that's kind
Th-
of
th-
exciting on it
that's
all?
that's it, man. What do you got? Who's hot right now? What's going on in Canada?
I got nothing off the top of my head on it. Yeah, nothing off the top of my head. Nothing cool anyway.
Nothing cool. Nothing cool.
Nothing
Oh,
cool.
come on, Aaron, man. You're
Let me check
killing
my
me.
phone. Let me see. Give me a second here. Let me see what's on the news right now. Well, everybody's trying to get out of China. I mean, that's a hot topic, right? Holy smokes,
Well, I
right?
was about to say that would probably put them on the who's not list. What's not? Coronavirus. Which one thing I couldn't believe. Like, what chooses the name coronavirus? Like, I saw that on the news one day before I'd heard anything about it, and it was on mute and it said coronavirus. I was like, I've had that before.
Yeah, it's like
I've
somebody
had too
needs a
many
Lyme.
coronas. Yeah. Coronavirus and Lyme disease. So, but
Yeah.
they're on the not hot, not good, not good.
No,
Stay away
people
from
trying to
that.
get out of the country. I don't know, man. I actually got like a chest cold, last week and kind of got through it. I was having the flashes of, did somehow I get this? Am I going down or what? Right?
Good Lord, man. Yeah, it's always
I don't
interesting
know.
when you hear about these. I remember the big scare or outbreak a few years back was Ebola. Gosh,
Yeah.
that may have been 3 or 4 years ago. The interesting thing about that is it was such a hot topic for a few weeks, a month, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. Like you
Yep.
didn't hear anything more about it. It wasn't like, hey, it's been contained. It was just kind of like, oh, massive outbreak, panic, we're done. So, that's
It's
interesting for the
true.
news cycle.
Yeah, it gives it something. You know what? The other thing I probably would say, uh, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston having that little, somber moment. If anybody saw that in the celebrity things, it kept popping up on my news feed, and the yearning eyes of Brad Pitt towards everybody's or almost everybody's favorite Jennifer Aniston is, kind of magical, I guess, right? Fairy tale shit.
Kind of magical. Yeah, Brad Pitt. Gosh, man, I remember what was that? You would have what was it was like Bennifer or something, Braniston.
Yep.
Their celebrity couple
Yeah,
name.
something like
Trying
that.
to
That was a
remember what it
long time
was.
ago.
Yeah,
I was working
absolutely.
at a Shoppers Drug Mart, like a pharmacy, during those days, and it was great because I used to, people would bring the magazines back. I'd be sitting in the lunchroom eating my Chips Ahoy cookies, flipping through all the gossip, right? I
Right.
knew everything during those days, 13 years ago. But hey,
I'm not gonna lie, I've used those before. Those are always interesting when you're in the grocery store and you're checking out and you've got all the smut magazines there, and you're just like, oh man, this person's embroiled in another sex scandal, or why are they not
here
eating
they go
anymore?
again.
This
Fucking
person's put on.
Kanye, here we are, right?
Yeah, I remember there was always stuff about John Travolta in there, and I was like, oh man, that's sad. But
Yeah.
uh,
I guess
alas.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they're
Oh,
moving to Canada, so that's a pretty hot topic, I guess. That would probably be
hey,
the one for Canada. Who's hot?
who's
Canada's hot.
be I'm gonna say this, Aaron, stay woke to that situation, because what you know uh, apparently the story is they're leaving the British monarchy, but what I think could be happen is they're coming back to bring the monarchy to Canada and take your country over. They're kind of coming in as a sleeper cell and gonna take over your
It's
pop culture, take over everything, and then it's gonna be Prince Harry is gonna come be the king of Canada. So just watch out. Watch out to your prime. Is it your prime minister? Is that a
it's the prime minister. Yeah, that's hilarious. That's a really good one, actually. I
okay?
like
Yeah,
that.
just be aware. Just stay woke to that, because obviously, I think Britain still has some hard feelings towards Canada. I think you have to go.
Yeah,
What's the Queen's face on? What piece of Monopoly?
everything.
What?
everything. Queen's face is on all of our money.
Okay, all
Every
right.
one of them.
Yeah.
Every coin, every bill. I think on the back, she's on them. Yeah,
Okay.
I
So
think anyway.
just look out for that. Yeah, you tell Trudeau, they're coming.
They're
They're coming.
coming. I think they probably get along. I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know. I don't think
I don't
Meghan.
know.
I don't think Meghan Markle's a fan of blackface either. So Trudeau. Well, once again, another who's not hot. People don't forget.
Actually, you know what I loved? It was probably the funniest thing I've seen in ages was Donald Trump Jr. And
Oh,
I mean,
God.
he posts all sorts of funny, ridiculous things. But I saw the Trudeau blackface one face to face, and
Mhm.
then Trudeau was true faced, true, and showed it there, and it was like mic drop. That is perfect. Like, it literally is. You know what I mean?
It's
So
it's
that was
kind
a
of
good one.
kind of ridiculous the place that we're in now with 2020, 2019 with social media and political figures or presidents and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our first who's hot, pretty much our who's not hot section, our segment of the year, and we'll be bringing that back throughout the year, looking at different things that are happening. So I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. So excited to see you guys down at Control Trends, and here's to a good 2020.
We have next generation innovation with Aaron Gorka and Brent Burrows.
All right, very good.